All right, welcome everyone to the iNRS Racing Series here on Thursday nights. Tonight we are in Talladega for the Yellawood 250. I'm Rick Souza here in the booth with my co-broadcaster, Ryan Pittman. And Ryan, this should be a fun night.
Yeah, I agree, Rick. 94 laps, Talladega SuperSpeedway. Fast laps, fast time. Get ready for an exciting night at one of NASCAR's biggest tracks.
Absolutely. We love watching some of the times get put up by these drivers, and at the top of the board has been our Canadian contingent. Alex Murphy, Simon Madgen, Martin Giroux, Martin Pinnell. Those guys were 1, 2, 3, 4 in practice. We'll see if that can continue. We do have 28 drivers who have registered for today's session and are about to kick off qualifying. We'll watch a bit of that, and then we'll cover all of the relative things we've got to bring to you to let you know what tonight's race is about. So we'll bring up some qualifying, and then we'll move right into some race facts.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it, Rick. 28 drivers at this type of racetrack. Now, there's kind of two ways that these kind of races end up going. It's either a really good, respectful race where things kind of get spread out. People start to drive conservatively to start, and then, of course, things pick up at the end. But it can really get spread out, and therefore you have really long green flag runs, pit stops, and all the good stuff, or things can go on the bad end. And that's just kind of where these guys are in that playoff position. What do you want to play? How do you want to play it? Because I've been in these kind of plate track races specifically where I go to the back, kind of like the Denny Hamlin approach at Atlanta earlier this year. As you go to the back, expect chaos, and then the green flag goes, and nothing happens. And it's really, really hard to make up that time if it goes green for sure.
So I'm not really sure what Jordan Wenzel's doing. He's on the backstretch doing about 100 miles per hour. Let's pick up another driver, see what this is. Alex Murphy in his qualifying run. So this is one of those tracks where your first lap is going to be your fastest lap. And we're watching Alex Murphy. We'll bring up some times as soon as we have this. In the meantime, let's get to some track information here for the race. So for tonight's race, it is a balmy 71 degrees and 93 on the track. That could change at race time, and we'll bring you that update when we check the weather at race time. We have 94 laps, a stage break at lap 31. Again, this league is no quick repair, so pretty much it is what it is. You have to take care of your equipment. 5 sets of tires, which really aren't a factor. 60% fuel, and we've been playing with the calculator trying to figure out exactly what that means. We're thinking it's around 25 laps, but we'll see what that translates to.
Yeah, I just got word from one of the participants, or Josh Douglas, actually. He says 23 laps to a tank of fuel is what we should be expecting here.
All right, very good.
You're close.
Close.
Very close.
Yep, not bad. So let's go ahead and bring up our kind of the keys to tonight's race. Trying to kick that off, Ryan. We talked about earlier. First is definitely let's avoid the carnage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Talladega, as we kind of mentioned, it can be a toss-up, and where you position yourself on track, how aggressive you want to be at the beginning of the race versus the end of the race. It can bite you. I mean, we got, what you said, one stage break in this event, and I assume we pay off points for that. So making sure that you are not only at the front at that time, but then also have a car running at the end of this race. As we mentioned, there are no fast repairs, so making sure you save a car for the end is going to be critical for this points championship.
Next item we've got is pit stops and how you pit. That's got to be an important factor for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a lot of these guys are having teammates, and then we have a few teammates in this field, of course, and making sure you communicate swiftly and communicate very well to those guys is going to be critical as far as getting on pit road. And then also, when you do make those pit stops, make sure you don't slide the tires and miss your pit box or get a pit road speeding penalty. Because if you do that, well, you're not going to have any buddies the next time you come down pit road, and that can be fatal for your race.
Absolutely. And finally, just overall race strategy with a race like this, green flag, pit stops, and planning. We've seen that has been critical to success here.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, again, trying to leapfrog some guys, because it can be at times a little bit hard to make your way up through the pack. So one of the ways of trying to leapfrog some guys, of course, maybe pit a little bit earlier, try to take a little bit less fuel. Again, be willing to maybe extend a stint on tires. Now, this is Talladega. Typically, we're probably going to be looking at not taking any tires throughout the run. Maybe at the most one set of right side tires. We'll just have to see what they do. I'm a short track guy, so that may be all out the window. I hadn't raced on a big track in a while. But we're just going to see what guys do for their fuel strategy. And again, making sure that you stay on that same strategy with the guys you're working on throughout the race.
All right, looks like qualifying is wrapping up here. You see Jordan Booth right now has put up the best time. Jordan's got an added incentive to be successful here. He is the driver who, if he wins, he takes home the No Bull Championship. That gets decided tonight, and that is a $500 payout.
Wow. I try to keep up with this series a little bit, but I'm not familiar with. I know No Bull from back in the '90s, and I believe what was it, the early 2000s, '90s when No Bull was in NASCAR. So how does the No Bull Championship work, Rick? Do you have an idea? Can you enlighten me?
Yeah, I wish I had all of that, but I believe I don't have that information. I wish Mr. Douglas was here to fill us in, but I'll see if I can grab that data and fill you in. But what I do know is if he wins, he takes home the big check.
Well, the good thing for him as well is he's basically playing with house money at that point because, according to our stats here, Jordan Booth is advanced into the next round, so he doesn't have to worry about anything but the things that you said. So going for that championship and collecting the cash, well, it's all it's all up for grabs. You don't have to worry about points for the season.
That's right. So now the drivers are in a drivers meeting for the next few minutes. Good chance for us to kind of give you an update as to where we are. This is the round of 12. Let's go ahead and bring up the playoff information on the screen. So Jordan Booth, you'll see him in gold in the current tally board of the round of 12, and also as you're watching our broadcast in both our tower and the crawl, you'll see drivers that have a red background and those that have a gold background. Those drivers who have the gold have qualified into the Elite Eight the next round. Those in red are playoff drivers, and they're working their way in. But as you can see from that display up right now, Jordan Booth has advanced. Number 2, you got Jordan Wenzel, Corey Bunch, Alex Forget is right there in 4th. Vernon Broadback is in 5th. Eric Jeffers in 6th. Michael Whitley is in 7th. Alex Murphy is in 8th. And that's the cut line right there. Tyrell Lem is just 2 points out. Simon Magin 4. Garrett Walden 9. And Ty Bostic is in 8th. So when you look at the point battles, the one race into the round and the normal cast of characters seems to be back in form. And with a strong Kansas, Eric Jeffers has kind of vaulted himself up onto the good side of the cut line. But, frankly, this is Talladega and everything is up for grabs.
Yeah.
The one driver who in a must-win situation after Kansas is Ty Bostic.
Yeah, so I was just speaking with Ty a little bit as well before we got in here. And he was talking about, of course, his wife is expecting a baby here, actually probably next week, which kind of leads to the next point that I don't think he is going to be able to make it to Charlotte for the Roval next week. So he was basically telling me, hey, we got to make it work here if I want to continue going for this championship. And he's got to get a win tonight, just like he said.
Yeah, he is not typically a fan of SuperSpeedway, but he needs that win. And, of course, that cut line's extremely tight. There's only 19 points that separates 5th through 11th. So quickly touching on who's hot for tonight. How can you start off who's hot without talking about Jordan Booth? He leads the most laps and winning both stages as well as the race. It's hard not to see him as a potential favorite here. Eric Jeffers has come alive since the playoffs started with finishes of 11th, 2nd, and 4th, and he's starting to show the consistency of a round of 8 contender as these playoffs get tighter and tighter. The final driver has shown some real speed last week as well as the week prior is the driver of the number 1 car, Matt Robinson. Last week he was the only driver who gave the 41 of Booth a real run for its money and has started to pick up the pace here as of recent. He may not be a playoff driver, but it would not be a surprise to see him become a playoff spoiler.
And again, we kind of talk about those drivers that really have nothing to lose. He's not racing for a championship this season, so being able to go up there and kind of dice things up a little bit with nothing to lose, as I mentioned, can really be a nice thing and almost a blessing in a way. One thing I kind of want to touch along that kind of same line is we were kind of talking about the keys to the race, but I also want to kind of add this one extra thing of when you make a move, you've got to be calculated here, especially early on. If you're going to make that move, you got to be precise and you got to be efficient with it to make it count, because things can happen in a hurry, and if you do something unexpected, or even if you do something that's per se right, but you do it unpredictably, I guess you could say, like with lap traffic, trying to be out of the way, but also moving at the last moment. You have to be precise and you have to be predictable in those situations.
Absolutely. So, of course, we talked about drivers who have been hot, but who has not been, and we're going to fall back and just unfortunately highlight the 55 of Vince Burns with finishes of 19 and 22nd. This driver has been just 1 or 2 breaks of a downhill slide, so we will have to see if Dega can be Vince's saving grace. As far as playoff drivers who've had a rough go of it, both Garrett Walden and Ty Bostic again has races that they probably wish would have gone differently. Being 2 out of the 3 playoff drivers, cars that missed the top 15, and now being on the outside looking in. Watch for these 2, as we talked about earlier, to be aggressive for stage points tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As we get ready for getting down to just about a minute left in practice, we're actually gridding up on the track right now, so we'll be going back up through our starting grid here momentarily.
All right, let's see if we can grab the grid. Yep, there we go. We are seeing drivers on the grid, so let's go ahead and bring that up. You want to kick us off?
Absolutely. Starting on the front row in the pole position, we have Jordan Booth for 40 XLI with a full time of 53.211. Starting to his outside is going to be Ron Fitting for Grease Monkey Motorsports. Alex Murphy is going to bring it home in the second row on the inside in the number 3rd position. P4, Ty Bostic, we just talked about the excellent run that he's got to have tonight. Going to be looking for a win, of course, starting in that P4 position. P5, Simon Madgen. Nick Owls is going to start 6th. 7th, Tyler Lem. 8th, Vernon Broadbeck. 9th, Jacob Musso. And 10th, on the back end of the top 10, is going to be Matt Perusini.
All right, in 11th, you've got Clark Franz. In 12th, you got Joe Musso. In 13th, Richard Mills. 14th, Jordan Wenzel. Corey Bunches in 15th. Alex Berger-Bruby in 16th. Austin Walton in 18th. Tony Japs, in 17th. Tony Japs in 18th. Michael Whitley Jr. in 19th. 20th is Matt Robinson. 21st, Corey Ennis. 22 is Eric Jeffers. 23 is Martin Giroux. And 24 is Vince Burns.
Starting 25th is going to be Garrett Walden, Dan Hughes in the 26th, and following out our 27-car field is going to be Martin Pinnell.
All right, and I just got word, just to kind of cap what we were talking about earlier, that No Bull Championship is 5 races: Daytona, Charlotte, Indy, Darlington, and Talladega. You got to win 3 out of the 5. Jordan Booth, if he wins here tonight, will take home that money.
That's awesome. That's awesome for these race leagues to kind of have those kind of incentives like that. That's great. But we are getting ready to go green here. Momentary pace car is off, and we are under the green flag for the first time here at Talladega. 27 cars strong, and it is going to be the 41 car up at the front.
Oh, big fall off on that number 3 of Ron Fitting. That low line just got backed up big time, and they're a little bit behind, not keeping up with that high line, which gets a great run. See, Ty Bostic is up there. He is in 2nd place right now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how black flags may work, but I do see a couple black flags on the timing right here, so I don't know how that'll affect or how they call them. But yeah, there was certainly stack up on the beginning there. Not sure if that's going to impact things going further. But up front continues to be, I believe, Matt Robinson up at the top of the board.
I've got Ron Fitting right there in that 3. He's kind of nosed out in front of Jordan Booth. Oh, another green flag, but a number of drivers have gone. I think we've got some black flags that may be assessed here. Not sure what, but the number 3 of Ron Fitting and the 5 of Richard Mills.
Yeah, drivers are talking about in the chat of what might have happened there. Really, nobody has too much of a clue. From what I understand, it was a passing to the inside for those black flags. And it sounds like race control is trying to sort that out, whether it's a legitimate black flag or if we can get those cleared for these drivers.
All right, that low line has taken a great run. Now you've got Alex Murphy out in front. Simon Madgen, as I said earlier, those our Canadian drivers they were practicing so well. They put up some great speeds during practice, and they have found themselves leading this pack.
Yeah, you're kind of starting to see these teammates starting to kind of bunch up here. Of course, the 2 up front for Rumble Racing of Alex Murphy and Simon Madgen. Both them up front powering the bottom line, making it almost impossible for the outside line to get established right now. We'll have to see. On the outside, of course, Ty Bostic as well on the second. Actually, he's fallen back just a little bit now in third on the outside line.
All right, Alex Murphy, Simon Madgen, Tyro Lem, Jacob Musso, Jordan Wenzel. That's your top 5. Let's go ahead and bring up our top 5. Leaderboard. There's the top 25 showing on our leaderboard. Again, you see the 81 of Jordan Wenzel and Jordan Booth, the Jordan show to the outside there, trying to battle that inside line.
Yeah, you see how much they're actually trying to push and make that outside line get established. But, oh, looks like Ty Bostic got shuffled down to the inside. Not sure if he's making his way onto pit road. He is. The implications for a driver that we were talking about right at the back end of your points making his way onto pit road.
All right, of course, we do know that there was definitely some passing under Yellaw because of that slow start, and unfortunately a number of drivers got caught up. I'm not sure if that's something that bit Bostic, but that would make sense with the number of laps and him finding himself on pit road.
Yeah, I do agree. I do see that he does have a black flag for whatever reason. Again, not sure what entirely led to that or if that was really out of anybody's control. They're certainly unfortunate for Ty, especially this early. But of course, it is Talladega. Things can happen. He can get himself back up on the lead lap. As long as you have a car running and you're on the lead lap, you've got a shot at the end.
You saw a big shuffle up front. You saw the Jordan and Jordans. They were on the high line. Saw the drivers of Alex Murphy and Simon Madgen shuffle up to the high line, and those guys just swept right in, and now they are leading that low line. The 81 and the 41 nose to tail on the low side.
Yeah, we're talking about that outside line, how it really didn't seem like it was getting established, and it's starting to kind of fall back again. But it is much more established now. If we're going to see that outside work, I think now is the time that we're going to get an idea.
Yep, so we do have a competition caution, a stage break at lap 31. The yellow will fly at the end of the 31st lap, which means everybody will come down. But everybody still needs to pit. So there's no way you can make it all the way around without coming in for fuel. So that may be the saving grace for those drivers who got caught with having to come down with that yellow flag. Although I think Bostic is back in again. Yes, He is back in again. That is not going to be good for his night.
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe he had a speeding penalty on that first initial attempt to make it down to pit road, and now he is more than likely going to go a lap down. See, leaders going into 3 now. Going to be coming off of 4. Ty Bostic is just now exiting pit road, so that momentum is definitely going to carry all the way into 1. Ty Bostic is going to be going at least 1 lap down.
So right about now, they can, if everything goes according to plan, as we said, somewhere between 23 and 25 laps for this tank of fuel. My guess is
going to the outside there. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, not
Sorry,
really
go ahead,
sure.
Rick.
No, I'm just saying that at this point, we've got to see just, we could see some drivers short pit here and come in quickly versus hang out long. One thing I do know is you don't want to be the last guy to come in.
And you certainly don't want to do it by yourself for sure. Yeah, this is going to be kind of interesting because, as you mentioned, 31 laps for the stage, 23 laps on the tank of fuel. So yeah, you did mention we are going to have to pit before that stage end. So how do you maneuver that? How do you get down to the inside to work with your teammate? And the thing is you can't wait till about 25 or so laps into this event. 23 laps for fuel. You can't wait until that last minute to try to make your way down to the inside. You've got to start thinking ahead early on to try to make your way down to that lower line so that you can pit as soon as you need to.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer that I want to pit first. Maybe not exactly first, but pretty close,
Yeah, depends on the kind of communication we have with the guys. If you're with, once again, a group you can kind of communicate with, yeah, you can be that first group down. But if not, if you're kind of out there running solo, then usually I'll go that second time. I'll see some people starting to pit, and then you kind of have a better idea that, okay, people are starting to pit. Some people are going to come down this next time. That way you can ensure you have a group to pit with. Because, again, that draft being so important, you have to have a group.
Yeah, you can't pit by yourself. You really shouldn't pit with just one other car. You're hoping that there's going to be a group, at least 3 or 4 cars that you can tag with, because that draft is absolutely critical in getting back up to speed and not getting lapped.
Yeah, on top of that, kind of like we mentioned before, I would be very surprised if we saw these guys take 4 or even 2 tires here on this pit stop. So if that is your plan, if your group is going to take only no tires, then you got to make sure that you make yourself on that same plan, because adding an extra 9 or 10 seconds, you're going to be off and by yourself coming out of the pits, and that is going to leave you for dead.
Yep. Well, the good news is for Ty Bostic is he is just 1 lap down, and he's the only car 1 lap down. So he's got, hopefully he may have, well, he only pit on lap 4. He's still going to have to come back one more time.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, I think he'll be okay here. And I'll be real honest, with the way the racing is up front, I've seen some hairy moments for sure. It may not look like a blessing now, but if they all wad him up at the front, I think Ty Bostic is going to be pretty happy being away from the track. And then, of course, that caution would allow him to get back on the lead lap.
So the 24 of Matt Pericini finds himself up front. He's got the 81 of Jordan Wenzel on his tail. The 41 of Jordan Booth is there. Corey Ennis is right there in 4th, and Burton Broadback is in 10th.
Yeah, we're still kind of seeing that outside line try to get established. That's really the only way that you can make up some ground here. And of course, we've talked about NASCAR as well, that outside line is the way it just doesn't really seem to work. Almost your best bet of making through the pack is actually just keeping it on the inside line and wait for people trying to venture up there. And then, of course, they lose positions, and by that byproduct, you end up gaining a few positions. But Talladega is weird. Not, like I said, I'm a short track guy, so trying to figure out the air and what all is just such a different animal when it comes to these stock cars.
All right, lap 12 is in the books. And that outside line has found a way to crawl back up and edge out Matt Pericini on the low line. You've got Vernon Broadbeck on the high line. He's got some good pushing going on behind him. with that number 30 of Alex Murphy. We talked about earlier that group of drivers who were just jamming in practice. That was Matt Berrettini, Alex Murphy, Simon Magin, Martin Giroux, Martin Pinnell. Those guys were killing it in practice. And now those drivers all find themselves top 7.
One of the interesting things that I kind of see whenever a race here at Talladega, and especially with the low line, yes, the low line seems to be faster, but it also seems like you get more stack up. Things kind of bunch up quicker. You go into the corner and you kind of lose speed and you get all tight, and it kind of makes it tough to bump. You have to kind of let off the throttle a little bit at points. As we see a daring move down to the inside by the 10, but that outside line, you can kind of carry more momentum. You can get safer bumps, and you can really push a whole lot harder on that outside line if it has speed, which right now it looks like it may be coming into form.
And the 55 of Vince Burns finds himself 3 wide here at Talladega.
We may be getting some drivers on pit road here, Rick. I just heard some voice calls, looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do have cars on pit road.
Large contingent drivers find themselves on pit road. Matt Berrettini, Jordan Booth, Jordan Wenzel, Eric Jeffers, Michael Whitley, Tony Japs, Corey Bunch. Good number of playoff drivers find themselves on pit road. This should be a fuel-only stop for these drivers. Oh, a little bit of contact with Eric Jeffers in the 12 and the 11. I'm sorry, the 77 of Corey Bunch.
And that's going to split your stage perfectly in half. 16 laps in, 16 laps to go for this stage. So not all too surprising. That's where these drivers are choosing to pit. Of course, again, how much fuel do you take? Do you take just enough fuel to get you to the end of the stage and then pit again at that stage, or do you go ahead and fill her up?
Well, every one of those drivers had nearly identical stops of 7.53, 7.8 in the box. And as those are coming out, we see another group of drivers, Vince Broadbeck, Joe Musso. Trying to get a better shot of the number of drivers coming on down here. Clark Franz, Tony Lem, Austin Walton, Jacob Musso, Matt Robinson. We talked about him during the pre-race. All now on pit road.
Yeah, car gets fun on pit road. I think that was a 67, a pink Hooters car in the back. I'm trying to look and see who that might have been. Could that be Corey Ennis in the number 67 that might have got spun on pit road?
Yep, that is Corey.
Yep, and that's one of those mistakes. I don't know if he got tagged from behind, but you can see everybody else has been well and clear off pit road, and he is still sitting there getting damage repaired or fuel.
All right, up front we've got Murphy, Magin, Giroux, Pinnell up in front. Those drivers have not pitted yet. Neither has Dan Hughes. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those drivers right there. They have separated themselves from the group. They're about to catch up. But we expect to see them on pit road momentarily next time by.
Yeah, we talked about it, Rick, the different kind of strategies here at Talladega and when you choose to pit. Now, it's always kind of interesting. Now, pit road can be a little slick getting off at times, and mistakes can happen. So, would not be surprised if you never know when a yellow might fall, and it could kind of work out for these guys if we got a yellow right now.
All right, so we've got Corey Bunch. I'm guessing, based on the time he spent on pit road, he may have been tagged with some type of penalty there. I'm going to see if we get any details on that, maybe an unsafe entry or something. Because he was in the box for 48 seconds.
Yeah, I know he had a pretty hard impact on that front end, and maybe that might have given him some damage. I can't see it giving him a meatball damage, just maybe optional repairs. But I do see another black flag for the number 10 of Vernon Broadbeck, who earned himself a black flag on that pit stop, probably speeding, I would assume. We'll see that number 10 machine on pit road once again, as we see him right there.
He's on pit road, serving that out. But again, these guys are hanging out as long as they can. This is lap 18. They're still going around. We know they can make it to lap 23, 24.
Yeah, and if you've gone this far, you're going to stretch it to the end. Maybe a one lap buffer. We'll see. But if you've gone this far, you might as well carry it to the end.
All right, keeping track of Murphy, Madgen, Giroux, Pinnell, and Hughes. Those guys are running 1 through 5. They have not made their stop yet.
They've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the group. We'll be kind of curious to see after this cycle is out where they will stand for sure.
They got 34 seconds ahead of the current pack. Now, interesting enough, getting onto pit road, making the stop and getting off by taking Jordan Booth's last time, it took him 33.67 seconds. So that is, based on the gap that they've got, they could potentially come right out right there.
It's going to be close, but it's certainly doable.
They would have to do that now, though. Like, they shouldn't wait another 11 laps to pull that off.
Yeah, the kind of thing is like just making sure you don't get stacked up at all, like coming onto pit road. Give yourself a little bit of a buffer, just a little bit, and then just try to get yourself established again once you get off. But it's just so scary. And of course, I'm sure a lot of these drivers practice pit road entry early on into the event. And of course, once again with that lap 31 caution flag, everything's going to get all kind of bunched up. But this is kind of the Talladega race you can see on iRacing, where everybody gets on a separate strategy. You get about 3 or 4 single car chains going around this racetrack, and it kind of just ends up on that strategy for the rest of the race if you don't have another caution.
All right, 10 laps to go before our stage break. We're watching our leaders continue. They're not really making any headway. Let's jump back to Booth and the gang. Well, that's why these guys are tucked nose to tail. 24 right there under the bumper of the 41 with the 81 right there. Good group, good drafting, and that's
leaders
why
are pitting.
They are pitting. Let's go back.
They will be pitting next time by.
Yeah, they couldn't have waited any longer. That group in back was closing that gap.
And that's right there on that number that you were talking about, Rick. 23 laps of fuel.
Watching the 20 of Martin Pinnell right there. You see the 6 of Dan Hughes.
And this, of course, like you're talking about, this is where I'm kind of keeping an eye on that top right of your board with number 41 making his way down the front straightaway, and where these guys are going to come out. I don't think they're going to get there in time, Rick.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure the 41 is going to come out of this thing with the lead.
Yep, they absolutely did. All right, with just 7-8 laps before we go to that stage break, you see the 41 of Jordan Booth has taken over the lead here at Talladega. You know, having someone behind you that you can trust to push, that's worth its weight in gold. And really, Matt Persini has done a great job right there with Jordan Booth.
Yeah, one of the biggest things, not only for the pusher, is as a driver up front, you have to be able to hold a steady wheel. I usually like to run my wheel a little bit lighter here. That way the bumps and the wind aren't necessarily as influenced. I'm not quite moving around as much. You can kind of keep a straighter wheel kind of tucked down on that yellow line a little bit easier, and that just gives a platform for the guy behind you, just a little bit easier bump coming off the corners and down the fadeaways.
Speaking of that, why don't we go on board of Matt Perucini and look at as he's there behind Jordan Booth. So as Ryan was saying, you can see that orange stripe on his steering wheel. Being successful here means very little steering wheel input, but when you're pushing somebody, you don't really have a lot of choice.
Yeah, I'm kind of, and it's really tough. And again, I haven't really been able to find myself being too great at it, but you almost find yourself really chasing that car up in front of you as they kind of, you know, come off the line and kind of get back on the line. And I almost find myself wanting to chase that car to try to find the draft, but I've almost found it better just to stay on the yellow line and try to catch what draft you can, because if you're chasing the other guy and then the guy behind you is kind of trying to chase the draft of you, you just all end up snaking down the back straightaway, and it just becomes really, really unpredictable for somebody to try to push.
So we're watching Jordan Booth. They had caught up to, I think, the 43 of Garrett Walden. Garrett is the last car on the lead lap. Oh, and they ducked in front. The 10 was by himself. That's Vernon Broadbeck. He had served a penalty and was out there by himself. There is a huge difference between a single car speed and a pack, and I think that they were about to run him over.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, kind of like I was talking about, if you know, you may, as a lap driver, you may find a tendency to try to get up to the top of the racetrack to be out of the way, but it's almost sometimes, even if you are in the way, you just kind of need to be, what I say, like predictably in the way, if you know what I mean, like, because that's the worst thing to be, is unpredictable. So even if you're in the way, sometimes it's just better to be where you are, try to learn for the next time they come back around, but then just don't do anything sudden. You know, just make it predictable and let the leaders try to work around you.
Right now, Matt Perucini in that 24 car is your leader. They are just drafting. He's drafting with the 43 of Garrett Walden, who is actually the last car on the lead lap. But I will tell you that you burn less fuel when you've got a car in front of you that you're drafting.
Oh, for sure. If you're, look at that move from the inside to the outside. I think that's Jordan Booth. But yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there in the back, you can kind of sit there at about quarter throttle, you know, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, save a little bit of fuel, and that can kind of be a game changer for those long runs. Because much like in real life, the less fuel you have, or the more fuel you have in the tank, the less fuel you have to take on a pit stop. As you see, Ty Bostic is once again on pit road once more.
Yeah, it's not good.
He's already one lap down. If you go two, that's pretty fatal, Rick.
Yeah. And there's a number of drivers who are laps down. Vernon Broadbeck, Corey Ennis, Ron Fitting, Richard Mills, those guys, as well as Ty Bostic. So 22 cars on the lead lap. Coming up to our stage break at lap 31.
Yeah, this is where the drivers are going to be just a little bit more antsy to try to push maybe just a little bit harder for the stage win. Almost gives you a little bit of practice here for the end of the race. So once again, we see leader up here, Matt Perucini up front in the pole position right now in first. Joe Musso in second. Austin Walton in third. Fourth, Clark France. Jacob Musso in fifth. Sixth is going to be Jordan Wenzel. Jordan Booth in seventh. Tyler Lim, Alex Forget Berube, and on the back end of the top 10 is going to be Nick Alves. As you get ready to close in on that lap 31 stage break once again. One lap to go. Matt Perucini continues to lead the field in the number 24 machine. Of course, that 43, as we mentioned, that is a car, last car on the lead lap here. He's going to try to stick it out for
Oh, wrecking
Oh, as you
behind,
see a car.
81.
Yeah. That is Jordan Wenzel in the 81 that went around.
He survived. Musso's got some major damage in that 25. He's missing that right front quarter panel. That is gone on that car. There's got to be some tire damage. Oh, yeah, and there is. That right front is not moving. Caution has not come out. Those guys continue to go forward. Unfortunately, that is going to probably be the end of the race for the 25 of Jacob Musso.
Yeah, super unfortunate here, Rick. Of course, we're getting ready to have our stage break here on lap 31, last lap of that first half of the event.
Yeah, I'm just curious just how much damage is actually going to be on that 81.
Fortunately, and of course, you don't want any kind of damage, but Talladega is a pretty large racetrack to where if you do have a little bit of damage, you can kind of bleed it off under caution, because it takes so long to make your way around here on pit on a yellow flag. But here we go, battling for the end. We got a battle 3 wide for this stage break. Who's it going to be?
4 wide. Wow, that was too close to call. I had Austin Walton at the line, Joe Musso, Tyrell Lem, Clark Franz, Matt Perricini, Jordan Booth.
Yeah, that was the 43. Garrett Walden trying desperately to stay on the lead lap there. I don't think he was able to complete it there at the end.
All right, we are under caution for a competition caution. Ryan, check your phone. Just sent you a message. And we will probably see all these drivers on pit road.
All right, so I kind of want to bring you back to where these drivers are once again in their playoff positions. Jordan Booth, who has once again advanced on to the next round of the playoff. Jordan Wenzel is going to be second in the playoff points, looking to see where he's going to be coming out of tonight's race, see if he can get a little bit closer to the front end of the playoffs. Third, Corey Bunch. Alex Forget, fourth. Fifth, Vernon Broadbeck, Eric Jeffers, Michael Whitley, Alex Murphy, Tyler Lem, Simon Madgen, and Garrett Walden. 12th, Ty Bostic, who has not had a great night so far. Not the night that he's going to need to try to compete for a championship here. As you see, once again, the 67 diving to the outside and into that wall. Not entirely sure what happened there for the Pink Hooters car. That is a 65 as Matt Perricini, Jordan Booth, Alex Forget Berube, Nick Alves, Michael Whitley Jr., and Alex Murphy finishing out your top 10. Getting ready to come down here on pit road, grab some tires and grab some fuel. This is going to be 17 of Austin Walton once again, as well as the 10 who I believe is, no, that's 28, my mistake, of Joe Musso as well. Now, I kind of anticipate these drivers probably taking fuel once again. I don't. Okay, we do see a couple drivers taking right side tires. Let's see if the left sides go up. Looks like a lot of these drivers are going to be taking a 4-tire pit stop here on this lap 31 caution. And it is going to be the 24 of Matt Perricini making it off pit road first. Alex Murphy in second. Joe Musso in third. Austin Walton, Tyler Lem, Clark Franz, Simon Madgen, Alex Forget Berube, Nick Alves, and Martin Giroux.
All right.
And unfortunately, Rick, we do see Jacob Musso, that number 25 machine that we noted, had a right front pointing in the wrong direction. He, in fact, does have a meatball and will likely be out of this race if he's not able to get that corrected.
Yeah, that's a lot of repair time. We'll see how it goes. All right, I do show a penalty to the 28 for passing under the yellow line. That's for Joe Musso. That'll have to be served. I guess we go back to green. Looks like we got a little bit of for the pace car here. Lights are still on. Okay, so once those lights go back off, we'll get a wave around for a number of these drivers here. Remember, those drivers are a lap down.
You see some of these drivers coming down for a second pit stop, maybe top off on some fuel.
Not surprising. Not surprising. We've done a lot of broadcasts over the years with a lot of these super speedway races, and very often you see all those guys, no matter what, always come back down just before we go back to green, just to put whatever extra fuel they can in the tank.
Well, the interesting thing, Rick, that I'm kind of looking at is I get what you're saying about trying to top off the tank, but it's not gonna get you anywhere from what I can believe. Now, we're on lap 35. Let's say we're gonna be starting at lap 36. 94 minus 36 is gonna put you at 58 laps to go. Now we kind of know that we're gonna be able to get to about 23 laps of fuel, maybe 24. So let's just say 24. That's gonna get you down to 34 laps. So you're still gonna be a solid 10 laps short, even if you have a full tank of fuel right here. So I'm not entirely sure where that's going to try to get you. Now, stretching that fuel regardless can help you at times. And if we get some cautions, maybe they can save some fuel, but I just don't see them be able to save an entire 10 laps of fuel here, Rick.
Again, that comes back to what we talked about at the beginning, and that is race strategy. See how that all plays out. So lights are off on top of the pace car. We'll go green next time by. Balance of the field has caught up to the main pack. We've got 20 cars currently showing on the lead lap. I think I've got 2 drivers retired. I think that's Dan Hughes and Jacob Musso.
Yeah, certainly not the night that either one of those drivers wanted to have, but once again up through the restart zone, the 24 of Matt Perusini to 30 of Alex Murphy is going to bring us back to the green flag here at Talladega. 35 laps in, 60 to go here at Talladega once again.
Great restart by the 24 and the 19 of Alex Berrubi. But this is one of those tracks that no matter how good a jump you get at the front, whatever's behind you is going to catch up pretty darn quick.
Yeah, it's almost kind of a catch-22 of how good of a restart you really want to get, because really having so much of a jump out there can really hurt you. As you see, maybe here the guys behind that were in second or third got such a great run, they jumped to the outside. You're going to see if they can stick it to that front row.
Again, our Canadian contingent, Perusini, Giroux, Berrubi, Murphy, Magin, and Pinnell, all in the top 10. Somehow
really
those Canadian drivers have found the secret to being successful here at Talladega.
I think Talladega is just about the farthest south in the U.S. that you can get for a Canadian.
For a super speed, well, Daytona maybe.
That is a hike.
All right, that outside line has got it put together. That's the 55 of Vince Burns, pushing the 50 of Martin Giroux. That's the kind of night that Vince Burns needed tonight.
And I think this is kind of one of those things where we were kind of talking about which was going to be more dominant, the bottom or the top. I think when the drivers are kind of sitting there kind of riding it around, being a little bit conservative, that bottom line was very doable.
Conservative because it was not what's happening on the track.
Exactly, and that's what I'm thinking. Early on when we were a few laps in, that bottom line was working because the guys were not up there.
Oh, wrecking. The 20 got spun. 20 got spun. He's back up through the field. Big wreck. 20 got hooked.
With that outside line, like we were talking about, once you started pushing more and more, that outside line was going to be more dominant, it seemed. And the 28 looks like he has got a broken right front tire.
Yep, he is gone.
I don't think he's going to be able to finish.
No, he is out. That's Joe Musso in the 28. Another Musso car retired for tonight. We're watching the 20 of Pinnell. He got hooked. Not sure what his damage. I definitely see some left front damage on that car. Going to go around, see the other side. Can't see any damage on the right side. He looks okay, but there was a lot of incident going around. Let's go back and see if we can just analyze that a little bit. See, that's Matt Robinson right there in the 1 behind the 20. And we're 3 wide. It doesn't take much right there, just a little tap in the left, and then he gets collected by the 30 of Alex Murphy and the 19 of Alex Forget-Berube. 15 gets caught. There's where the 28 gets toasted.
Yeah, I think that was one of those situations, Rick, where the 20 just, he was kind of split between 2 lanes of the second groove and the outside groove. And I don't think the 1 knew entirely which lane he was going to be in. Tried to look a little bit low, and contact was just made to the left rear. But pit road is open, Rick, and I'm sure we're going to see more than a couple drivers down here getting damage repaired, maybe even topping off on fuel. That is going to get you a little bit closer to that 10 laps I was talking about. And who knows, you may be able to stretch it here with the luck of a few cautions with 1 more pit stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, pretty much the majority of the field finds themselves on pit road. Just coming in for just a splash of gas. Again, this is Talladega. Tire wear is not really a factor here.
Yeah, and a lot of the drivers actually took 4 tires on that last stage caution, so I would assume they're probably going to be good here to the finish on those tires.
Interesting, both Matt Robinson and Matt Persini both took tires on that stop, as did Michael Whitley Jr. Number of drivers are in for an extended period of time. Those drivers were the ones that were involved in that incident. You see Clark Friends. I'm not sure Clark was involved. Definitely you saw Alex Forget-Berube involved. They were trying to get some repairs made.
Yeah, Ron Fitting just came over to the channel and said he's got about 8 minutes of repair. So not the worst, but still, I was going to certainly take him out of contention for this race. And that's what we kind of saw, Rick, the first half of this event. Pretty respectful. Everything kind of got sorted out. They were ready to make this thing long. We got a caution there for that stage break. And, well, with no other guarantee of caution to the end, we saw drivers push just a little bit harder, and things came together.
Yep, 3 wide can absolutely run. But you know, you got to be respectful of that, you know, you have to have your head on a swivel and be spatially aware, because all it takes is one small mistake.
Absolutely.
All right, lap 40 is in the books. Lights are still on the pace car. We will be pretty much got a little bit of time here before we go back. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back.
Our mission at Coastal Financial is to provide comprehensive financial planning solutions tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals, with the aim of empowering our clients to make informed financial decisions and achieve their financial potential. Our focus is providing the highest level of service to our clients, including successful business owners, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. Our commitment is to helping you improve your financial position, reach your financial goals, and safeguard your family and business. Our goal is to provide you with the resources and guidance necessary to accomplish these objectives. Our process utilizes a thorough and exclusive financial analysis, efficient implementation of recommendations, and continual reevaluation of fluctuating dynamics. You can find us at coastalfinancial.com or on Facebook at Coastal Financial.
All right, welcome back to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series. We are at race number 2 in the round of 12. We started off in Kansas, nice mile-and-a-half track, with Jordan Booth winning. Now we're at Talladega. Jordan Booth needs to win again, not for the playoffs, but for some big moolah. It's $500 to himself if he can pull off a win. But next week, it's all changing. The last race here in the round of 12 will be at the Roval.
And the Roval is one of those races where you can have a lot in the control of your hands, or it could go very, very badly. But pace car is off, Rick. We are getting ready to go back through the restart zone. And back under green up front continues to be Martin Giroux, Simon Magin up on our front row. And
it's Burns
Rick,
and Alex Murphy right there. That's a Canadian front row.
And the 50 once again gets an excellent jump out to the front. I think the car on the outside of, I believe, Magin may have spun the tires or slipped up just a tick. That's going to relish him back a few spots on that restart.
All right, Nick Alves finds himself all the way back down. Oh, he's got a connection issue. Sorry about that. So the 13 of you on the track. That is the 13 of Nick Alves. That's a connection issue. Plays a little havoc with our telemetry here in the booth.
I think everybody's internet's kind of been struggling over the past couple of weeks, especially if you're a little bit further south. And you know, of course, I'm in North Carolina. I got a couple buddies that are more on that western side of the states. My dad has, just been sent over there to go help, and my brother-in-law who's a patrol officer, he just got sent over there to go help in Lake Lure area in Asheville. So, just thinking of the guys that are affected by the storms and Hurricane Helene and Woodall. But fortunately, we're all able to kind of hop on iRacing, kind of forget about some things of the world at certain times, and just enjoy racing with friends and talking with buddies.
Yeah, I know a number of drivers here may have been affected for sure. We definitely are missing a few, and our prayers are out with them and their families as they try to get through this horrific event here. We're in North Carolina. We were not affected out in the Charlotte area like what's happening in western North Carolina. But we're there. A lot of, if you have been following the news, the NASCAR community has really stepped up and has really been running lots of supplies up into that area by using their resources, their trucks, and their helicopters and planes. It's pretty amazing what, if you're watching what Greg Biffle has been able to organize over typically about nearly 150 private helicopter runs every single day with supplies up into the mountains.
Yeah, and I was also seeing some of the tracks that were kind of stepping up, and I think I saw Bristol and North Wilkesboro were stepping up to become a distribution center and a hub for this help. But getting ready, we got 50 laps here to go at Talladega SuperSpeedway. Battle for the lead continues, albeit single file, but it is hot and intense for the number 50 machine of Martin Giroux, as we have a number 46 machine of Simon Magin hot on his tail.
So we've seen this before where that top line kind of falls apart, but it can so easily form up if someone makes the jump up to the outside and then someone follows them. But right now we're just playing follow the leader. We do have 50 laps or so to go. Good time just to find your spot. Now doing the math again, those folks that are leading didn't come in that last time by. So Giroux, Magin, Murphy, and Burns, those guys pitted last on lap 33. Beneath them, everybody else came in on lap 39.40.
Yeah, I think even the guys that kind of came in under that last stop and topped off, even the ones that came on the just before the one to go to top off on fuel, I think they're still going to be really, really close. Certainly cannot make it if this goes green, but even with the help of a few cautions, I think they're still about 5 or 6 laps short.
Yeah, they'll definitely need the paps. If you're looking at a driver like Eric Jeffers or those that pitted on lap 40, figured lap 63, and they're still going to have to come back in again. Maybe they'll split it, but there's 2 more stops in tonight's race. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, if you're a little bit farther in the back, of course, I don't blame you for coming down pit road and topping off once again. Mainly just for the fact of, again, if you're already in the back, you might as well take that fuel, and then hopefully because you have less fuel to have to fill the tank with, maybe you can leapfrog a few guys when they do pit. But I do want to kind of note something. The number 46 machine of Simon Magin, he is looking for a great run tonight, and a great run he is doing. He is currently sitting 10th in the points, so 4 points back. So he is he's looking for a good run, and he is showing up here tonight.
Absolutely, he certainly needs a good showing. One of the drivers who's in the playoffs who did not make this race. Well, I take that back. I thought for some reason that he did not make it, but I was looking for Tyler Lem. He is right there. Tyler is just below the cut line. He is right now showing in 13th. Garrett Walden, who's below him in 11th, is currently showing in 14th. And we've talked about Ty Bostic and his troubles tonight.
Yeah, Ty Bostic's still sitting 1 lap down. And even still, there's 2 cars yet in front of him. So at the current moment, even if a caution came out, he would not be the lucky dog. That would go to Richard Mills in the 5.
3 cars have retired tonight. Joe Musso, Dan Hughes, Musso, they're all out. But that still leaves 20 cars on the lead laps and a number of drivers hoping to make it back in. Those 4, Richard Mills, Corey Ennis, Bostic, and Fitting, all trying to get their laps back. Mark Franz in the 15 is the last car on the lead lap, and he is by himself. That is not good for the 15 of Clark Franz.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've kind of seen up here at the front of the pack, though, a very respectful single car chain, just kind of making sure we make it to the end of this race. Now, of course, the points battle being as close to as it is, things are going to have to happen here at the end. But even some of these guys that are outside the points are only outside the points by 2, 4, 9 points or something, and that can happen. That can make a difference in a hurry.
Yeah, especially where they are now. That's a position or 2. You got to do everything you can to claw back and take any point opportunity you can. Of course, we're not factoring into the stage break. That was a lot of points during that stage. I wish we had a way to left. Maybe next time find a way to track those stage points. As I said earlier, Martin Giroux now leads this race in the number 50. Simon Magin in 2nd. Murphy is in 3rd. Vince Burns finds himself in 4th. Matt Robinson in 5th.
One of the interesting things about Talladega, of course, as you know, once again, I'm a short track guy in North Carolina. Of course, the Cars Tour being such a big series here on the grassroots level in the Carolinas. Carson Quapple, who just got an agreement to run full-time in 2025 for JRM Motorsports in the number 1 machine. He's going to be making his debut on the plate track side here at Talladega this weekend. And he was talking about on the broadcast with Dale Jr. and all. How much iRacing has actually helped him with that, and getting up with his spotter TJ Majors for that event. What they were able to kind of do with iRacing, kind of spot and kind of get a feel for the vibe of each other at a plate track, even through just a sim like this, how much they were able to make it work and help.
Yeah, nearly every driver that's out there today on the NASCAR circuit, no matter what level, truck, Xfinity, and Cup, has spent some time in what they called the simulator. Now, each manufacturer does have a separate simulator that they've got that really replicates what's happening in their car. However, most of the drivers also utilize iRacing to give them a chance to get out there in competition with other humans, and not just a computer-generated model.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know if the manufacturer sims, I don't know if that's just a single car run. I don't imagine they would have any kind of AI, of course. Certainly don't have any other real-life drivers out there on the track. So iRacing is a platform, like you mentioned, that they actually do have some other kind of competition. And
not
as you're making your way through some lap traffic,
that
go,
15 of Clark Franz just absolutely was right there when these leaders ran right up, and you saw that they just ran it quickly. They did a good job of working their way around that car. He kept that low line and forced that group to work around. Now we're 3 wide towards the back of the field. We're watching this group here in the back.
That's kind of what we were talking about, because I've certainly more than a few times I've been that car that's lost the draft or had a bad pit stop or something, and you're sitting there running, 180 mile an hour, just running your own pace by yourself, and boy, those lead lap cars, if you're not careful, they will run up on you in a hurry. And like I mentioned, you have that tendency to be like, oh shoot, they're right on my tail, let me get out of the way. Well, we saw right there, if he had tried to get out of the way, that would have been big chaos.
Yeah,
although he was in the way, it was still better than trying to move.
Yeah, if he had earlier on, though, decided to say, I'm just going to take that higher line and move up, of course, a couple of things would have happened. One, they would have freight trained him and really gone past him. You want to, as a driver, be able to take the opportunity to pick up that draft, to come back in and try to hope to pick that up and get carried along. But the way it all played out, I don't believe he was able to hold on and just got run over.
Yeah, if it's a small group of 2 or 3 cars, then yeah, sometimes they'll kind of stay on the bottom, let them go around you, and that speed difference of making them go the long way around is a little bit easier to pick up the draft at times. But if it's a big pack like that, if you have at all possibility to see ahead and see him coming, it's your best opportunity to just get up and out of the way and hug that outside wall.
Yeah, with one car, you legitimately have a significant speed difference. So I'm just looking real quick here at the 15 of Clark Franz. His lap time, he's running about 170 miles an hour. When I look at the leaders, they're at 190. So really a 20 mile per hour delta between a single car by himself trying to make his way around here.
Yeah, we just saw the 67 car, who was also a lap down of Corey Ennis, try to tuck back into that draft as he was getting passed by the leaders. It looks like he may be okay to stick into that draft and keep up with the pack. So it worked out for him.
Austin Walton now takes over the lead. He's got Vernon Broadback behind him, and he worked their way down to that lower line, abandoning that high line as they play leapfrog a bit.
Yeah, made that defensive boost to the outside to put a block, and then slowly tried to make his way back down to the bottom line. But outside is coming into form in the form of the 5 car.
Yeah, that's Richard outside. Mills. He is the last. He is. They're trying to get their lap back by staying up front there. If caution were to fly, they would be pretty close to getting their lap back. Man, they're awful tight. There's lots of contact. Pushing and shoving up here, top 5.
And Rick, we're going to start getting into that realm of having to pit, I would imagine, because we restarted at lap, 40? So we're about 17 laps, or
Well, Vince Burns needs to pit. He pitted last on lap 33. His tank has got to be empty. That's going to put him right now. That's 26. He's at 56. He just went by. He's got 56 laps. Of course, there was a caution on that tank, but I think he's on fumes.
Gotta be.
I'm guessing he's in next
Yep,
time.
I think you're going to be pitting here. Yep. As well as the 20, and I believe the 30 as well.
Yeah, a lot of guys up at the front. The 55, the 50, the 46, the 30, all pitted last on lap 33. There they go. That is the Canadian Tour down there, with the exception of Matt Pericini, who pitted on his pit cycle slightly off. He's been at last pit on lap 40.
Yeah, so this will get them close enough that we'll just have to get a splash of fuel here at the end.
Yep, we're not able to get a good shot of those folks on pit road, but we'll stay now. Of course, this field is about to run down. The 81 of Jordan Wenzel, 55 of Burns goes high. He may be out of fuel.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing, if you go up high and you run out of fuel, well, how are you going to get down to the bottom here to pit safely?
He is the only driver out there that pitted last on lap. We're in a lot of jumbles going on, 3 and 4 wide here. Watching mid to back pack here, there's a lot of shakeups happening.
Yeah, we'll have to see this next round. Who's going to come down and grab some pits? This is
in.
only going to get him to about lap 83.
There's Vince Burns now. He finds himself. He is not out of fuel. Don't hear that car skipping at all. He's got his foot to the floor. There he is.
Here he comes.
That's Austin Walton, Vince Burns, Vernon Broadbeck, Corey Ennis, Richard Mills, and Ron Fitting all on pit road. So that tells me an awful lot. That puts Vince Burns in at 58. He pitted last on 33. That's 25.
That is just about as far as you can go on a tank of fuel. Again,
Yep.
we were talking about if you are back in a pack where you have the privilege of maybe running half throttle to quarter throttle around the facility. But if you're up front, as particularly leading the pack, you don't have that privilege. You are pedal to the metal, foot to the floor, burning fuel.
So based on that information, we know they can make it to 25. Just extrapolating that, these guys pitted last on lap 40. That takes us to 65. So sometime in the next few laps, we expect to see these leaders on pit road. And then what's left is the race strategy, right? So you've got, if they come in at lap 65, that's going to leave you 35, 34, oh, sorry, where's my math here? Just under 30 laps. So you're going to have to come down one more time. Where you do it is going to be key.
Yeah, and I really kind of get the feeling that this may be a long run green flag to the finish here, Rick. So how you make it down the pit road, how quick you're able to stop in your box and get up off the pit road, and not only that, but get tucked up behind your guys and push and push and push, and don't necessarily compete as much. Just trying to make up as much ground and get separated from the guys that pit on a separate lap from you. That may end up being your win or loss.
Yeah, these guys have got to, I think they've got to stretch it out all the way to 60 to 25 laps. They've really got to use as much as they possibly can to give them the better advantage next time.
Only time will tell.
That's 24. We're not sure. It's all up for grabs. But what I do know is Jordan Booth and Matt Persini have really teamed up and done well here tonight.
Absolutely. Those two drivers we've basically seen at the front this entire night basically work together, as you said. Now, we've seen a strategy like that before where you have a guy and you lock up in your teammates and you're working together really well for a time, but it gets down to the end where you might ruffle some feathers with the guy you've been working with all night long.
All right, definitely see some guys peeling off. That's Eric Jeffers, Tony Japs, Ty Bostic. They're all headed in for their scheduled pit stop. A few more drivers: Corey Bunch, Michael Lee Jr., Nick Alves, Alex Berger Berube, Jordan Wenzel, all in. But that leaves Persini and Booth and Robinson, Walden, and Lem out still.
This puts them on their 25th lap here, Rick, so they're going to have to come down pit road this time by. And I'll be honest, I really don't like the 3-car pack that they have. Ideally, you would like to have at least 4, 5, 6 cars with you. That way, when you come out, you can maximize that draft. Here they come.
I count 4 coming in. Booth, Persini, Robinson, Walden. But I think the 43 of Walden is pretty far back. Tyler Lem is also coming in. They're going to be slightly off schedule because there is that long run down onto pit road. They came in slightly late. I'm not sure how that will play on exit and then getting back up together as a group.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to be really careful to make sure they link up coming off of pit road. They come off relatively at the same time. Looks like they're going to be able to do that relatively well.
You almost want to, as a driver, you almost need to maybe drag the brake a little bit so you don't lose anybody. These 3 are in a danger right now of getting, of not getting everybody together, and unfortunately, that pack is coming up upon them.
Yeah, that's kind of the risk, like I was talking about, when you only have 2 or 3 cars coming down at the same time. It allows more of a gap when you come off the pit road to not get stacked up as well, getting back up to speed.
Now they do come out running first and second here. Now, well, of course, a little bit of shakeup. Booth has got Matt Robinson behind him. Matt Persini finds himself back there in 4th. We've got Ty Bostic kind of mixed in their ties a number of laps down, but he finds himself right now running with that lead group.
Yeah, first car, 1 lap down, continues to be that number 67 machine of Corey Ennis. He is looking for a caution. We are getting down to the wire here. He's desperately waiting to try to get back on that lead lap. He's been fighting for it all race.
The group that pitted early on lap 58, Martin Giroux, Simon Madgen, those guys have caught up. Alex Murphy, they're on the outside there. But that is legitimately a 7-lap difference between those 2 groups. Now, if I just
incredible.
I use my a little bit of cipher in here, that puts us at 83 for their next stop for Martin Giroux with Simon Madgen. So I guess it all doesn't matter. Everybody has to stop one more time. And it's going to be pretty much any time after lap 72. So really another 5 laps, and then you could choose to come down, get your final stop and call it a day, or wait it out. All right, the number 50 of Martin Giroux takes back over the lead. Simon Madgen in 2nd, Alex Murphy in 3rd. Austin Walton finds himself in 4th, Jordan Booth in 5th. He's got Matt Robinson behind him. Eric Jeffers is there. Garrett Walden, Tony Japs, and Matt Persini.
Yeah, that 50 machine has done such an excellent job of staying out front, and the 46 has done such a wonderful job of staying with him and being committed to that number 50 Chevrolet there. But we'll just have to see how dominant they've seemed to be all throughout this race up front, along with Jordan Booth as well. If they're able to hold on for these last 25 laps here.
Good nose to tail running here. We're single file here with just 25 laps to go.
I can't tell you how impressive it's been with all these different pit strategies coming down on and off of pit road at different times on different laps, and how many cars we have here up in this front pack. Now, of course, they're single file. That will not last very long. Right now, they're still trying to ride around, making it to the end. But just to have this many cars in contention here, legitimately, any one of those race cars could bring it home to victory lane.
All right, 25 laps to go. We're going to take one commercial break. You won't miss anything. We'll be going side by side. We will be right back.
ACE HDI provides commercial smart security systems, audio-visual solutions, TV mounting and installation, access control, and surveillance systems. In addition, our networking division can provide business networking and Wi-Fi solutions. All these systems can be remotely managed through our ACE HDI applications and cloud-based solutions. Running a business these days is a tough and demanding job. Let the folks at ACE HDI ensure that your place of business is safe for your workers and your company assets. ACE HDI can offer you integrated burglar alarm systems, access control and health, and wellness systems to ensure the safety of your employees and visitors. If you are looking to modernize or purchase a new fire alarm system, look no further than ACE HDI. We can offer you the latest state-of-the-art solutions to keep watch over your business. Does your surveillance system need a refresh? ACE HDI can install the latest 4K surveillance cameras with custom analytics and AI to help you understand what's happening in and around your business. Are you a restaurant or hospitality venue? Does your facility host sporting events? Reach out to ACE HDI for the latest in video displays and audio systems to enhance and define your place of business. ACE HDI service area includes both North and South Carolina. Reach out to us today at 336-941-3171 or via email at info@ace-hdi.com.
All right, welcome back to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. If you have seen a little bit of issues with our broadcasting, we apologize. We're kind of at the mercy here in North Carolina with our carriers and their recovery from what happened here with Hurricane Helene. So bear with us. We appreciate you staying with us, and hope it gets straightened out. We are waiting for our broadcast booth to be upgraded with a new fiber stream. Hopefully that will happen here in October. So.
How exciting.
Yes, looking forward to it. All right, with 22 laps to go, Martin Giroux continues to lead Simon Magin, Alex Murphy, Austin Walton, and Jordan Booth. As we said earlier, we are expecting a group of these drivers to have to come back down. Well, everybody to come back down for one more stop.
Yeah, I think we thought that was going to happen around, let's say, 13, maybe less. I think 13 at the farthest for some of these guys, laps to go. But somewhere around that, I'm sure. Some guys may choose to pit a little bit earlier and cut it short. But honestly, if you're in that pack, I really would not want to leave it because you're going so fast, tucked in single file.
Yeah, you need to get out there with the group. Really, at this point, with 21 laps left, you can pit at any time. That should give you enough for one green-white checker if that were to happen. But again, as Ryan stated, it's your race strategy, and it's not just how you vision this race out prior to the start. It's what's happening right now. You're in that top pack. Unless you've got 4 or or so, or 4 or more drivers that say, yes, let's go, and you trust them, I'd be afraid to leave.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about here as well, Rick. Now, you get to choose how much fuel you put in here. Of course, we're going to put in plenty to finish this race, but how much of a margin are you willing to give yourself at the end of this event? Because obviously the less fuel you put in there, the quicker you're going to come off, but cutting it so close where you're going to cut it right at 20 laps to go, or right there at the checker, you'll be running out. You may not give yourself enough if you get a green white checker or 2, but that could be a trade-off. Less fuel on pit road, less time on pit road could seal the deal if we go here to the green.
Yeah, at the same time, though, you give yourself a chance for 1 green white checker
gamble,
just in case. Yep, you got to be. There is a fair bit of gamble, and you've got to figure on these super speedways. All right, just 19 laps to go here.
At what point do you really start pushing here, Rick? I mean, if you're back in the pack, we see you about a 12-car breakaway here. If you're 3/4 of the way through, how willing early on are you going to try to jump to the outside and try to make something work? Because if you're at the back of the pack and you try to make something work, well, you're not really at too much of a loss. Of course, you could lose the draft, but I think you could recover yourself pretty quickly. But just trying to establish that outside lane and being the first car out there could benefit you here.
Well, that's part of this strategy, because I wouldn't think you're going to do that until you've come in and made your pit stop. That way you've got all your fuel, you've got your final, you're ready to go. If you do it before then, you're still going to have to brake and come down pit road.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Just kind of thinking ahead as well.
But you're right. So I would definitely see, I'd see how my pit stop goes. I think about when I'm going to come back, when I'm coming back in, how that's going to all play out. Of course, as we just looked at the map again, there's a group of drivers here kind of off cycle. The top 4 pitted last at lap 58 or so. Booth and those other drivers pitted on lap 65. So there's 7 lap difference between those two. They can afford to let those guys in front. They can wait them out. But with just 17 laps to go, how far are you going to wait? And just as you called it, they're now spreading themselves apart, because that group down below, they're probably coming in.
That would be my guess. Making sure you don't get stacked up when they jump down to pit road. Not yet, though.
No.
They may be testing out their outside ability here to get sprung up for the finish. I'm not quite sure. But like you mentioned, we're going to have some pit stops here in the next 2 or 3 laps, at least for some of these guys.
You got Booth, Eric Jeffers, 43 of Garrett Walden on that outside. See, the 42 is there. That is Tony Japs. Oh, I saw Tony up there. And they're still not coming in.
Well, some of the drivers there on the outside, we see, of course, number 41 of Jordan Booth. He last pitted on lap 65, so he's well in clear for a good number of laps here. He can make it to about, 90 almost, but of course he's going to have to pit, but that's probably why he was able to go to the outside, is because he wasn't having to worry about making it down to the bottom lane. He knew the guys that were on the bottom lane were going to be pitting before then.
Yeah, I'm not really sure just what's happening, what the thought is. There's a lot of strategy going on here. These guys now have moved down to the low line. Booth is out in front. Again, he has got to come down. There we go. Now we're seeing that come down. That's Giroux, Magin, Murphy, and Walton. All of those guys needed to come in. They are on pit road.
And this is where these guys up front in this pack going around the racetrack right now, they have to keep it clean, try to push as hard as you can. You may want to try to pass a guy, but
Oh,
you
there's
got to
no
try
contact. Oh, they're
Don't come back. Oh.
Oh my gosh, that was contact with the 43 of Garrett Walden.
How did they save that, Rick?
I have no idea.
Well, that's kind of broken up that pack just a little bit. They may slow them down as a whole.
Yeah, that was the 67 of Corey. And now Corey is a lap down. Corey's the first car down on the lead lap. The last thing he wanted was to cause his own caution to get him to come back in. But there's definitely some contact. $13 laps to go.
Yeah, I just don't know if these guys that are out front, I don't know if they want to try to stay out here for very much longer, because the guys that have already pit, they're good. They're going to go. If we get a caution right now, these guys currently leading, they're going to have to pit. And then the guys that pit earlier, well, they're just going to cycle back up to the front because they've already made their pit stop.
They need to go now, because those guys who pitted, Walton, Magin, Murphy, they've got 39 to 40 seconds of gap between themselves and the leaders. Last time by, Jordan Booth pitted completely on, stop, off in 36 seconds. If they pit now, they're going to be successful in getting back out on that track and staying ahead of them. If they wait, there's a good chance those guys can come around and close that gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping our eyes, if you're watching the tower and the gap counter, position 14 on back, you see 40.67, 40.72. That's critical in understanding the delta between those leaders and that group that was ahead of them and leading prior to that pit stop.
Looks like they might be giving it one more go around here. Let's see if they decide to pit this time around. Coming out of 2 and down the back straightaway for what could be the final pit stop here at Talladega.
Drivers are heading into turn 3. See if they take this opportunity. They need to be tied up together. Nope.
Surprising, Rick.
Yep, because that group that's sitting back in 14th is beginning to chip away at that gap. Okay, other group, we do have drivers on pit road. Tyrell Lem, Michael Whitley, Vince Burns, Corey Bunch, and Vernon Broadback. That's positions 9 through 13 on pit road. 67 of Corey Ennis joins him. With little time left and knowing you need a spot.
Yeah, that delta you've kind of talked about, this basically remained
Here we go.
the same, right around that 40.3 second. But here we go, Rick. This is when it matters.
This is your top 6 on pit road, as well as Ty Bostic. We're watching the time in the box on the 41. Just under 7 seconds. And this group is back out. That is a super fast total pit time of around 33 seconds for these guys.
I think they're going to do it, Rick. I think they're still going to come out in the lead. Now, that delta is closing up really quick. But I think they can get established here. If maybe the 41 can
he's got to back off just a little bit, yeah. Or let those guys run up behind him. as they group up. They got to stay tight together. He doesn't want to get too far ahead.
They still got about 6 seconds to that second backpack behind him. I think they did an excellent job getting on and off of pit road quickly.
That was huge. And what they need to do is avoid wrecking. There's a lot of position changes. Here. It is. But again, this is at this point you've got to do something. If you are sitting back there, you know, you just can't follow them around nose to tail. Someone's going to have to jump out. And with being 7 cars.
Well, looking again here once more, Rick. Garrett Walden, who's sitting there in the 3rd position, 9 points out. Of course, we don't take into account the stage points and what all. With some of those guys who were at the back end of the playoff bubble looking in, a 3rd place finish may not be enough for those guys. Of course, we still got the Roval ahead, but a lot of that also dictates how confident of a road course racer are you.
Absolutely. Who has much points as you can get. I think Garrett, I'll go back and look, but I think he did well. I think he did pick up some stage points.
Because it's like, once again, you could almost guarantee yourself right now, so long as you stay clean and green, you're going to have a top 5, top 10 finish. But are you willing to settle for a top 5? Are you able to gamble and roll the dice for a win here?
Well, and Jordan Booth, he's out front. He's looking at that $500 payday.
Yeah, for sure.
And back-to-back wins.
And again, he's already on to the next round, so he's got nothing to lose.
And everything to gain.
He's going to be looking for that Michael McDowell block from top to bottom if he has to, checkers or wreckers for that number 41 machine at the end. What a masterful job he's done to put himself in this position as well. On and off pit road, smoothly every time. You saw the gap that he was able to extend onto pit road, 3 or 4 car lengths that he extended, it seemed, from the rest of the guys in front of him. And really, if you extend yourself that much on pit road, you might be able to sneak over there and add maybe just one more click of fuel in there, because you know you have a delta to the guys on pit road. Get yourself just a little bit of extra insurance on fuel.
Just 6 laps to go before we call this one. Your leader, Jordan Booth, Matt Parasini, he's been his drafting partner pretty much all night.
And that 43 machine sitting there in 3rd, he was, I'm pretty sure, a lap down about halfway through this event. He's made it back up to the 3rd position. Impressive for that 43 machine.
17 cars remain on the lead lap. Total of 3 retirees for the night. Of course, the 15 of Clark France has been on pit road trying to make repairs. .23 cars are still running on track. You see the 67, I think that was Corey. As they pass under the 20.
That's what I was going to say. See the lap cars so far being great and staying up and out of the way and letting these leaders contend for this win unhindered. See the car go all the way on the apron to get out of the way.
That's the 81 of Jordan Wenzel. Jordan is lapped down. 4 laps to go here in the iNRS Racing Series here at Talladega. We thank you for tuning in to the IWM broadcast network of the Yellawood 250. This is the 2nd race in the round of 12. Next week we will have the cut race. They'll be at the Roval. And that will move us down to the 8 top drivers.
As we talked about the number 81 of Jordan Wenzel there, Rick, sitting in 20th, 1 lap down as of right now. He was a driver that was sitting pretty comfortable in points. He was sitting in the 2nd position going into the night, 26 points up. That is going to change at the end of this Talladega race. He's going to have to come out with a net gain, if not maybe a little bit more, going into the Roval.
Yeah, he's got Corey Bunch and Alex Berube and Vernon Broadbeck on his tail. You know, if you look at Corey Bunch, Corey's sitting now in 13th. Alex Murphy is in 8th. And Alex Berube is sitting in 15th. So there'll definitely be a shakeup in the points. It's all pretty close here in the iNRS Playoff Championship.
One point I want to make here, Rick, if you look at your cars second and third in this pack, they are both a part of the Apex Motorsports charter there. So 2 drivers sitting in second or third, they may be willing to hang that number 41 machine out to dry here in the waning laps of this event.
I would expect, if I am Matt Pericini, I've already talked to Garrett Walden, and I'm saying we're going to dump his ass sometime around at the end of lap 2. Not in a contact way, but you know, just kind of move on. But you already see that happening. He's jumped up high. He slows down that high run that the 12 of Eric Jeffers, Eric Jeffers was pulling. He stalled it out. Contact slams him in the wall. This is not. The gloves are off with just 1 lap to go.
Coming to the white flag, we talked about the line that the 41 has. He's fallen all the way back to the 5th and 6th position here. He's going to need a miracle to get back up to the front. Currently, Eric Jeffers continues to lead this pack. Second, Tony Japs, and they are back single file, but I can guarantee that is not going to stay that way to the end.
There's contact all amongst these leaders. They're not giving up. Walden in the 43, big run. He's in the wall. Contact again. Matt Robinson finds his way in between. He's door to door as we're racing the final lap here. He's got some help from Booth. Booth now finds himself battling. That may have put the 41 in contention to win this race. Car spinning out. Where's this going to end? Look at the start.
Jordan Booth on the outside. He may be able to make this happen, Rick. He is Jordan Booth in the 41 collecting the victory here at Talladega Speedway. I've got to take a look at that once again. How was he able to make it back from the back of that pack all the way up and get the victory here? That was impressive.
there are some unhappy drivers here. Wow. Let's go back to that checkered flag, maybe a little bit before. Take a little bit different view here. Back it up just a little bit.
I don't know if we can see a full lap there.
We're going to go back just a little bit because there was some drama. We're going to back it up a little bit, get a better replay. Here we go. This is a better shot. So it was like Booth and Robinson took huge advantage. So we saw the 43 tag the wall. That slowed him down. Huge opportunity for the 41 to leverage the draft of the 1. And the 24, where he's always been on the bumper, slides right in behind him. Now the 41 takes an outside spot.
And look at the way he's going to be able to carry this momentum all the way through 3 and off of 4. When we talked about the uniqueness of Talladega, I think that came to his benefit the way the start-finish line is all the way down almost into turn 1, being able to carry that momentum. And I don't think he got by the number 1 of Matthew Robinson until right there before that line.
You can see his door-to-door with the 12 of Jeffers right there, and then behind. Now the 43 comes up and bumps him big time. That helps him tremendously to just nose out in front. Now the 1 comes up and looks like trying to block him. And he says, nope, you're not going to block me. I'm going up high.
There you go. That's where we talked about the start-finish line. Man, it would have been close if it was right there at the apex of the front straightaway. But the way Talladega is, it's all the way down here.
That 43, Garrett Walden's efforts there solidified what Jordan Booth was able to do.
Oh, the 43, like we mentioned, he was the saving grace. I don't think the 41 would have had a shot if it wasn't for that Richard Petty livery there. That was impressive nonetheless. And the fact that he was able to hang on to a race car that was getting that much of a shot to the rear bumper, impressive.
Well, with that, we'll quickly run through the results of tonight's race real quick, because we've got drivers who want to get in this booth and tell their story. So Jordan Bruth wins the $500 No Bull Championship and wins this race. Garrett Walden finishes in second. Matt Robinson in third. Eric Jefferson fourth. Tony Japson fifth. Matt Persini in sixth. Simon Madsen in seventh. Alex Murphy in eighth. Martin Giroux in ninth. And Vince Burns finishes in 10th.
11th, you have Tyler Lem, Alex Forget-Berube, and 12th, 13th, Vernon Broadbeck. 14th, Corey Bunch. 15th, Nick Alves, Austin Walton, Michael Whitley Jr., Corey Evans, Jordan Wenzel, and Ty Bostic finishing out the back end of the top 20.
Richard Mills in 21st, Martin Pinnell, Ron Fitting, Clark Franz in 24th, Joe Musso, Dan Hughes, and Jacob Musso round out the field. So with that, let's get our head together here and welcome Mr. Matt Robinson into the booth. Matt, heck of a finish there. Thought you may have had it.
Yeah, there was a small glimpse of hope. There was a pretty big gap coming off of four that I knew that it was going to be a little difficult, but there was a small glimpse.
You know, that's just how it is racing here at Talladega. It's always a crapshoot to some extent as you're running around. You guys were just amazing in your pit strategy. I thought it was going to play off, but we all knew that with 3 laps to go, the gloves were off.
Yeah, and at that point, I was going to go with the 12 and the 42 just to try and get around and get up to the top 3 and then ride up there, which is kind of what happened. Then it got a little dicey on the back straightaway coming out of 2, and Booth kind of just stuck right behind me, and we just kept going.
Absolutely. Well, great finish tonight here at Talladega. Tell us, give us your shout outs for tonight.
Shout outs to Performance, my wife, my grandmother, my parents, everybody that always watches all my races. It's been a really fun year. Back-to-back weeks on the podium, so I'll take it.
Absolutely. All right, there's your third place finisher, Matt Robinson tonight. Great finish here at Talladega. And with that, let's welcome in Garrett Walden to the broadcast booth. Garrett, congratulations on your second place finish, man. That was interesting.
Yes, sir, it was. I kind of had a no choice there at the end. I didn't know who to go with. I had Matt, Jordan, and Eric in front of me, so Jordan had the bigger run, so I just went with him because I was 9 points below the cut, so I'm trying to maximize, where I'm at and the points. So I was just the logical decision at the moment.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Of course, you had teammates that were also battling in that same pack.
Right. I mean, we were all teammates. We'd all kind of talked to each other, but it's like we knew it's like anytime, last lap, you're all going for it. I'm just happy with this finish because I'm one of the ones that was in the middle of that hurricane. So I'm actually over at my sister's house using her Wi-Fi and power because I still don't have any. So.
Well, congratulations on your win, and our thoughts and prayers are for yourself and for all of those who are impacted. Ryan and myself, we're both in North Carolina.
So am I.
Yep. So it's been a challenge. So
I'm out in Western North Carolina, and it's not good, but I do want to say, shout out to my family as we're battling through this. Shout out to my sister for letting me use her Wi-Fi, and shout out to everybody that's come. Power line guys, first responders come and helping us, and Western NC, everybody coming together and helping each other.
That's awesome. Yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with you and everybody out there. So, all right, Matt, any shout outs tonight besides the ones you've already mentioned?
He muted himself.
You did. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and bring in Jordan. Garrett, any shout outs tonight?
Besides family and whatnot, no, that's, we're sticking by each other through the mess we're going through. Jordan for the win, and for the other guys and FTM and whatnot that we all kind of worked together tonight. And, just big shout out to everybody that's come together through this hurricane. And I mean, that's it.
All right, there's your second place finisher tonight, Garrett Walden, and with that, we're gonna hold up this virtual check for you, Jordan, for $500 for the No Bull Championship.
Oh, dude, whenever Brendan told me he wasn't making it tonight, I was like, "There's no way I'm winning this thing." But oh my God, I won this thing.
I think you're gonna have to split that check with the 24.
Yeah, the 24 and 43 both definitely deserve a stipend of it for sure. I mean, I couldn't have done it without those two all night. They were the biggest help I could have ever asked. Just kind of pitting with me, making the easy things look easy all night. Rick, we did it.
Well, congratulations, Jordan. It was certainly fun to watch. I think we'll mention them. The Canadian contingent. Of course, Matt Pericini was pretty much with you, but Simon, Alex, Martin, and Alex Forget. Those guys had a heck of a night tonight, and it just came down to that last stop.
Yeah, it started really on that caution after the stage. Those three decided to stay out, and pretty much the whole rest of the field decided to pit. And then that whole first run, man, we just saved gas behind them. And then, once they pit, it was like, all right, let's go. I'm sure you guys saw me and Matt Pericini work really well whenever they announced they were pitting to get to the front, and then kind of set a pace where we could pit, come out, and be ahead of them. And then we were just kind of cruising behind them again. They caught up. They did a great job. And then once again, it was that kind of cruise behind them, and then once we got to a number we felt comfortable with, it was like, all right, let's go. And we got to the top side, and Eric and Tony, they did a really good job as well. Eric was pushing there towards the end, and we got around them, and we just set some blazing lap times whenever they pit, and they came out, and it was just those three versus us 7 or so. And we executed the pit stop, came out, and then they were 4 seconds back, and it was like, all right, we beat them. Now it's just a race amongst ourselves, which was pretty hectic. I mean, I knew Eric wasn't going to cut me any breaks because I junked him at Bristol on accident, and I'm sure he has every right. I don't know why he sideswiped me on the cooldown lap. I mean, it was a block for $500, and he still got around me, so I'm not too sure about that. I'll have to talk to him about that, but nonetheless, they worked really good all night, and then it just I thought it fell apart on that last lap, and then somehow, by the grace of God, big shove from Matt Pericini, and then Garrett picking me out of those three coming to the line, and it just worked out.
It sure did, yeah. Those, as we talked about earlier, the gloves typically come off in that last 2 laps, and there was lots of excitement here tonight. That definitely happened. A pretty wild finish.
Yeah, for sure. Coming on that 2 laps to go, coming into 3, Matt and Garrett were telling me, like, they're coming high, and I was like, all right, Matt, can you come up with me? And he's like, I can't, it's too close. I was like, all right, I got to go. So I chose them, and it was going to be I knew they were going to make a move. I was hoping I could let them get to my inside and side draft them and then get Matt and Garrett back to me. Unfortunately, that did not work because they had a lot more cars than I thought they did. And then just kind of rallying from there. I knew they would all get racy amongst themselves. I knew I wasn't out of it, and then just got the shoves from the right people at the right time.
Well, congratulations on your finish. Any shout-outs tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Garrett and Matt Pericini, they did a great job. I mean, as well as Matt Robinson, he helped me out throughout the race too. I'll give him a quick shout out. And then I'll give one to Mike Wheel. He's going through some things and hasn't been able to race, but man, he paints me some bad looking cars every single week. I couldn't look as good as I do out on track without him.
Yeah, me as well. He paints my cars too. He's just awesome.
He's a talented individual, man, and I wish he could race more than he can. We love having him. He's a great dude. And then I'll give one. I know my aunt's watching, and she's pumped, so I'll give it to her. My dad's watching. I'll give him one. I'm sure Nate from Ohio's watching. I'll give him one. But yeah, just everybody. I mean, obviously the league, right? How many leagues can you come into and they're like, hey, if you win 3 out of 5 of these select races, you win $500. So just really cool that they put stuff on like this, and just blessed to be able to win it. And then obviously you and Ryan in the booth. I mean, it's not an easy job doing this every week, and you guys make it look easy.
All right, there's your winner for tonight at the Yellawood 250 here at Talladega. Jordan Booth collects not only the win, but also the $500 No Bull Championship. We're super thankful for those of you who have watched this live tonight, and those of you may watch this on replay. Ryan, it's been a blast. Great night calling a race with you.
Pleasure as always, Rick. It was fun.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, next week we will be at the Roval for that event here, and we'll see just who will make the cut and move on to the Elite Eight in the next round of the playoffs in the iNRS Racing Series. For Ryan and myself, we thank you for tuning in to the IWM Broadcast Network and look forward to seeing you next week. Good night, folks.